This is Dan and Lexi from Dan Schultz Outdoors, reminding you to keep the adventures alive. Hey y'all, I'm Johnny.
And I'm Colleen. And we're the Keel Quest. And we want you to keep the adventures alive. Cheers!
Hey, this is Darren from Ride Paddle Repeat, encouraging you to keep the adventures alive.
This is David from Beachley Ironworks saying keep the adventures alive.
Hey, Kevin with an A here. Keep the adventure alive.
Hi, I'm Dan Mayotte. Keep the adventures alive.
Hi, I'm Kevin Collin, the Happy Camper. Remember, keep the adventures alive. Awesome!
Woo, buddy! Shug here! Keep the adventures alive. I am.
Ethan here, the Avid Outdoorsy Guy, reminding you to keep the adventures alive.
We're John and Aaron.
Keep the adventures alive.
Hey everyone, it's Kylan from Lure of the North, and I encourage you to keep the adventures alive.
This is Sky North telling you, keep the adventures alive. And now on with the show.
Hey, well, hello and happy Tuesday, everybody. Hopefully everybody's been having a great week. Man, we missed you last week. We missed you last week with that Thanksgiving weekend here in Canada. The family and I had to get away and get up north, and that's why we didn't have a show last week. But we're back now, and we've got a great show lined up for you. Welcome to Canoehounds Outdoor Adventure Show, a show that brings you a lot closer to the great outdoors. My name is Dennis, also known as Canoehound, and if this is your first time tuning into the show tonight, thank you very much for joining us. Hopefully we'll give you enough good time tonight that maybe you'll hit that subscribe button. And of course, anytime a thumbs up down below on the screen is welcome. It helps us really get noticed by the YouTube algorithm. So please do hit that thumbs up if you're enjoying the show this evening. We are broadcasting both on here on YouTube and on Facebook tonight. So to all our Facebook viewers, hello, and thank you for popping in as well. Just to let you know, if you are new to the show, we are here every Tuesday evening at 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And you know what? Let's have a good time. This is a show where we could just all relax and take in some really cool information for the backcountry and all kinds of things that are outdoor related. Just a few things here before we get on with tonight's guest. All the things I take care of in the show so that we can allow the chat over there to populate, get all our good friends in here to enjoy the show throughout the evening. Just want to thank my show sponsors and affiliates. We've got Algonquin Outfitters, who are currently celebrating their 60th year in business. And by doing so, they are running a contest. It's a bit of a question and answer type of contest that you really have to check out because they've got some wicked prizes. And if you want to win, you can't win if you don't have a ticket, I always say. The link is in the description below. Go check it out. Get yourself entered into that contest, and who knows, you might be the winner of one of their fantastic prize packages. And they have many different prizes that they're giving away. And all at the same time, you'll be learning a little bit more about Algonquin Outfitters. So by all means, please do check that out. Huge shout out to our good friends over at Kid Products. They're the makers of the Kid Twig Stove and Reflector Oven, something that I use quite often. And it's not just because they're a sponsor. They actually, I used their products before, the whole sponsorship thing. And it was like, fine Canadian made products. So please do support them. And of course, our good friends over at Hunter and Harris Paddles. I just got my Hunter and Harris paddle there a few weeks ago, and this past weekend I had the opportunity to try them out. I was up at Naganosh Provincial Park for 4 days of camping with a few buddies, and I'll tell you, everybody really, really, really enjoyed the paddles. So, you know what? Check them out. If you're in the market for a new paddle, check out Hunter and Harris. Their link also is in the description below. And of course, our good friends over at Short Hills Beard Company, Great Signs and Graphics, and the Backcountry Coffee Company. If you're in the market for any of that stuff, please do show some support. Just a quick thank you to Beastly Ironworks there for becoming a channel member. Thank you very much. Drop me an email at canoehound@gmail.com, and I will get your perks started. And anybody else who may be interested in becoming a channel member, you can do the same thing. That's that little thing down here that says join. All kinds of perks and benefits come with becoming a member. So please consider doing that. It's a great way to support the channel, all while gaining perks and benefits that you could enjoy throughout the season here with Canoehounds Outdoor Adventure Show and the channel itself. So yeah. 2 weeks ago, if you happen to miss the show, we had Xander Budnick on the show. Xander is I won't say he's a new YouTuber, but he's really been showing a lot of success of late on his YouTube channel, appropriately named Xander Budnick, Xander Budnick. And Xander's got a really awesome editing style. His channel has picked up 100 and some odd thousand subscribers in the last year, and it's all due in part to the adventures that he's doing. And he's a comical guy. He knows his stuff. So go by all means, check out the show that we had 2 weeks ago. It's in our video library, and you'll enjoy the show, I'm quite sure. Let's see here, just really quick member shout out there. New member tonight, Beastly Ironworks. Thanks, Beastly, for your ongoing support. I know you've been around for quite a while. Also to our solo paddler channel members, Sty North, Kevin with an A, Canadian Drifter, Pam Bookham, and Jeremy Wallace. Thanks very much for your support. And of course, all of our channel members at all the levels that we have available. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It makes this whole process and just helps pay for all this stuff, right? So it doesn't have to come solely out of my pocket. And actually, you know what? Last week we had a super chat, or not last week, week before, we had a super chat come in from Kel J, and it was like $100 super chat, and I don't usually ask for them, but you know what? Due to his generosity, I'm sweetening the pot this week for the swag giveaway. So if I get it, I'd like to give back. Thank you very much, Kel. It's greatly appreciated, and we'll move on from there. Let's see here. Upcoming shows next week on the show. We are just finalizing things. We're going to have Newfoundland's own Justin Barber is going to be on the show, and we will be obviously talking about some of his amazing adventures that he partakes, up in Labrador, up in Newfoundland. This guy is a machine, and we're going to get to learn a little bit more about what makes him tick and why he does these adventures. So be sure to mark it on your calendars. That would be October 26th at 7 p.m. right here on Canoehounds Outdoor Adventure Show, Justin Barber. In the month of December, we will be having Adam Schultz is going to be on the show, and we're just trying to hammer out all the details on that. So stay tuned for that one there, and that'll be coming up as well. And as usual, if you want any information as to what's going on with the channel here, follow us on Facebook at Canoehounds Outdoor Adventure Show. It's right up here, right? And check us out. We always put updates on there as to what's coming up, all the links to everything that you need to know. And that'll get you basically into the show and have you knowing what's going on with us all there. Anyways, if you have any hot topics or hot topics or guests you'd like to see on the show, by all means, drop me an email at that same email address I shouldn't have taken off the screen, canoehound@gmail.com. I would love to hear who you would like to see on the show or topics covered. I do have quite the list, but you know what? It makes it easier for me to approach whoever to be on the show. And I love to bring you the content that you like to see. So by all means, please do send me your suggestions. It will not go unnoticed. As a matter of fact, I'll email you back to let you know that I did receive it. So yeah. And last but not least, if you have any questions tonight for myself or our guests, over there in the chat, please put the word question in capital letters before your question. So it makes it easier for me to identify. I can't promise that I will get all the questions on there. If I go past it, please put it back in. Okay. Not to say please don't flood the chat with your question, but if I didn't cover it, if it doesn't get covered, please do post again, or even better still, after the 8 o'clock swag giveaway tonight, I will put the invite out there to invite you on panel to come on up and ask your question face to face, kind of, screen to screen. And don't be shy, because you know what? The only person you're talking to is your computer. Okay. Just remember that you're talking to your computer and you might get an answer back. So don't be shy. Come on up and join us. It's always a lot of fun. Anybody that comes up on panel, they always say after the fact that, yeah, it wasn't so hard. So by all means, please do to join us. All righty. Enough blah, 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 right? We're going to get on with tonight's guest. Tonight's guests are an interesting couple who, over a 3-year period, paddled their way across this great country of ours. While doing so, they made a special effort of their journey to raise money for their local food bank, Loving Spoonful. Accounts of their journey can be found in their book titled Canoe for Change, A Journey Across Canada. A very, very good read. We'll tell you how you can get a hold of a copy of this book tonight. We will cover that for sure. Let's see. I can also say that this couple are very much true Canadians, and we will tell you why in a while. Okay. We will cover that. So let's welcome to the live stream tonight. We have Carol VandenEngel and we have Glen Green. Hey. How you doing?
Fine. Good, Dennis. Thank you.
Good to see you guys again. Last time I seen you guys, conditions were a little different, but we will get into that later in the show. We'll keep that as a bit of a teaser for everybody, right?
Sure.
It's well worth the listen, isn't it?
Yeah, sure. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Yeah, we're gonna rock your socks, people. How you guys doing? Anyways, you guys have been very busy. I know that.
Yeah, we've had a very busy summer. We're doing well. Yeah, and life is good. Life is good, Dennis.
Yeah, we're trying to get out and paddle as much as we can, and enjoy the area as much as we can. So it's been a great summer. A little bit of rain here and there, but oh well, that's okay.
You know what? If Dennis goes canoeing, it's going to rain. It's an automatic forecast changer, guaranteed, 100%.
We'll have to compare calendars and when we're going out, and we'll avoid when you go.
Avoid when I'm going. Yeah, you don't want to do that. So before we get into talking about your cross Canada journey, the two of you actually just returned from a trip out east where you were out there doing a big paddling challenge as well, right?
Yeah, we took a little bit of time and just recently went to Nova Scotia. It was a twofold trip for us. We wanted to go back and reconnect with some people that we met on our cross Canada journey, just to let them know that we were still alive and kicking, and of course thank them for their assistance. And we also paddled an area that's little known to Nova Scotians. It's the 100 Wild Islands east of Halifax. And it was a challenging yet satisfying, rewarding paddle.
Is that right? How did you come about planning something like that, that portion? Was it just something that was on your radar, or you kind of discovered it by accident?
Well, when we paddled across Canada, we really enjoyed Nova Scotia, and we thought, well, we just have to come back here and explore some more areas. So we did some research and found this gem of a spot, 100 Wild Islands, and it's a group of islands that we just randomly paddled around for the most part for about 4 or 5 days, and we didn't really have a route per se, but just, just went where the wind took us or where the fog wouldn't allow us to go, or just kind of enjoyed the beaches that were in the area as well. Lots of white sandy beaches and beautiful coves. It was really a spectacular spot.
That's cool. And we were talking in the green room, and you were saying your approach is like you're never in a hurry, right? You actually have the time to stop and smell the roses if you want to, right?
Yeah.
You got to relax. You know, we're at an age now where every day counts.
Well, hey, you know what? The fact that you're doing these amazing journeys, at a retirement age, we'll put it that way.
Yeah.
You know what? Is that traveling across Canada over a 3-year period? That's amazing. That's not an easy feat by any standard. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was our retirement cruise.
Right.
So in 2017, we both retired, and we decided rather than spend a sum of money and do a cruise on a cruise line, which most people do when they retire, we thought we'll upgrade our equipment and actually paddle across Canada and do a cruise per se across Canada. And since we were going to do this, we decided to make it a worthwhile effort and raise funds and awareness for our favorite local hometown charity, Loving Spoonful. And they're all about dentist food security. And their mandate is that regardless of your status in life and your income, everyone should be entitled to healthy, fresh food. And they do a remarkable job, and we support them full-heartedly.
Wow. And how successful were you with the fundraising effort through the journey?
Our goal at the beginning was $10,000, but we surpassed that. And at the end of the 3 years, we raised almost $30,000 for them.
Spectacular. That's awesome.
Yeah.
We also mentioned that in the green room too. It's amazing how people can really step up to the plate when called upon, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's the people that we met along the way too, that really wanted to be part of the journey. And they did that by donating funds to Loving Spoonful directly. And a lot of support came from our friends and neighbors and community right here in Kingston where we live.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's cool. You know what? I was through Kingston a couple of weeks ago on my way back from Ottawa. I should have.
You should have
had the family with me though, right? And
that's okay.
Doesn't matter.
You know what it's like when you're returning from holidays, or like and this happened to be to Ottawa and back, like 24-hour period, right? So it's like by that time you just want to get home.
Yes.
It's like going on holidays, and by the time you get to the airport, all your friends forget your name that you met down there, right? It's like just go home. Yeah. So let's talk about this canoe journey. You did it over a 3-year period. What was your, how many miles did you cover, or kilometers in our case?
Wow. Well, the entire journey was 8,500 kilometers. I remember so vividly the first day that we paddled. We left from Ottawa, the capital, for Canada's 150th. We saw it fitting to leave from the capital and also return to the capital. But I remember paddling the first day, and I think we only did like 20K, if that.
12.
It was 12.
12.
And then I thought, oh my goodness, we've got like 8,400,
Yeah, we thought, what did we get ourselves into?
So, a bit overwhelming, but one paddle stroke at a time, and before you knew it, you were on your way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So your first day, 12 kilometers. But now you're the first leg of your journey being we'll say year one, 2017. Where did your travels take you?
Yep. So the first year we left Ottawa and we headed east, and we ended up at Sydney, Nova Scotia. For the second year, we headed out to Vancouver. We took the train, put our gear and our canoe on the train, and went to Pacific Station. Did our first portage there down to the water, entered the Pacific, and at the end of that season, we made it to Fort Frances, Ontario, before it started to snow and close in on us. So back home we came, and the next year we took up the charge at Fort Frances and paddled back to Ottawa, crossed the finish line, so to speak, and then to come home, we just made it an easy trip down the Rideau Canal with our canoe, paddled right back to Kingston.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. That's how much planning went into this. I know you had a little help from a past guest of ours on the show, Mr. Mike Ranta, who has also paddled across Canada.
Yes,
not once but twice. The guy's a machine, right?
Yes.
Oh yeah. Yep. Oh my goodness. We actually used Mike's route. So when we decided to paddle across Canada, I was planning on retiring. So I had about 3 months to prepare for the trip while Glen was still working. But I did a lot of research and found Mike's route across Canada. And actually called him to ask him if it was okay to use his route, and had a conversation, and we got to know him a little bit then. And also he had a website, which was a very valuable source of information for us. Mm-hmm. So it enabled us to do all the research, and I think we made a few variations to the route, but for the most part, that's what we used. And Mike was a help to us along the way as well, just for some information.
When we spoke to Mike on the phone, he was giving us information so fast, and I was trying to write it down. I missed it. I just couldn't keep up with him because he knew every river and every corner and every obstacle and so on and so forth.
Amazing memory.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And we actually had a chance to see Mike. Beginning of the summer, we were up in Killarney, and we paddled around the Philip Edward Island and down into the French River and back, and stopped in to view the Big Dipper in Killarney, and actually ran into Mike and had a nice conversation.
Yeah, he's a stand-up guy, you know. He's funny as heck, you know. He's a very very knowledgeable towards all this type of stuff, right? So,
I like Mike because he's genuine.
Exactly. Yeah.
What you see is what you get.
Yeah, he lives a simple life, and I think he prefers it that way, right?
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. I mentioned to you, I tried to invite him onto the show tonight to say hello, and he had a prior engagement with things going on that needed a little more attention. So he sends his love and his hellos to everybody on screen and off screen. So
nice.
Yeah. He's a great guy. That's too bad we couldn't get him up here though, because in the later portion of the show, I'm sure he could have added a lot of giggles for us. Right?
Oh, my goodness.
So your first leg from Ottawa to Sydney, was there anything that really stood out, or as far as things that mishaps that may have happened, or things that went extremely well, or what can you tell us about that?
Well, I think the longest trip that we've taken prior to this was maybe 10, 14 days. So the logistics of preparation for food and taking food it was challenging. Carol can tell you about carbohydrates and how many calories that you need to keep going, because we experienced kind of a deficit the first year, and we did lose a lot of weight. And we did have a sudden experience where we went from fresh water to salt water, which caught us off guard for gathering drinking water. So it was a learning curve, a very big learning curve for us, learning how to pack the boat, what works, what doesn't, to keep your balance, navigating bigger waves, ocean waves. So it was a learning curve. And yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was good though.
Because we only had 3 months to prepare, there's just no way we could actually, look at every river system in depth or every obstacle along the way. So it was challenging that way, but also fun because you never planned your day. So you never knew what you were going to do. You were never disappointed of only going a few kilometers rather than, the 30 or 40 that you want to do. Mm-hmm. And we never knew where we were going to stay. So we just kind of winged it the whole time. And that was great. After a couple of weeks of trying to get used to paddling and working out the kinks and getting in shape for it, we kind of felt an incredible sense of freedom just being out on the open water and not having any kind of commitments except for finishing the journey.
Yeah.
Not so much looking at the destination, but living each day and enjoying each day as it came.
And Dennis, I was a map and compass guy. So, I always had the maps, but a route like this magnitude, we kind of had to go digital. We had to get a GPS, and we were doing social media for fundraising. So yeah, we had more electronics than we're used to. And at times that was frustrating for us. I should have been more learned on a GPS and how it works. But you know what? I had a compass tucked in my back pocket just in case.
Yeah, you had your safety net, eh?
I had a bunch of road maps. So I could see the big picture.
If you had to have topo maps for the entire trip, you didn't need another backpack.
Oh my goodness, couldn't have done it. Couldn't have done that.
Glen had all the backcountry, or the road maps, and he would sometimes take the road map out and ask someone for directions, and they would just laugh and say, "You're paddling across Canada with a road map?"
Right. Oh, geez. Gary Smith is asking, let's see here. He's asking, how do you filter out the salt from the water for drinking purposes? What did you do in that case if you kind of got caught off guard and you were all of a sudden into brackish water?
Well, we got caught off guard on the St. Lawrence River when all of a sudden we knew it would happen, but we weren't really prepared for it and when it would happen. So luckily, we ran out of water, but luckily that night it rained. And we knew it was going to rain, so we had to collect water from our tarp, and it rained quite a bit, and we had to collect water in our canoe, and we just filtered all that as we went along because we had some bags with us specifically for water storage. So we weren't, usually you're not too thankful for rain, but we really were that night because we had drinking water, and we were out on the coastline of the St. Lawrence River, and there was no communities around. So, yeah.
But then moving forward, we had to carry our water whenever we had a chance to get fresh water. We would load up.
And sometimes we had to knock on doors, to ask if they wouldn't mind filling up our water bladders, and we were always well received, and gave us a chance to talk about our cause and food security, and meet some really awesome Canadians. So that's was all part of the journey.
Yeah, but who would ever say no, right? No, you can't have water out of my
that's right.
My driveway hose, right?
Well, Glen would always send me. He says, "You go up to the door. They're not going to say no to you, like to a woman."
Who would have thunk it, right? And how, as far as that first leg of your journey, were you satisfied with the amount of time it took you from start to finish? Was it within what you thought you might be able to do it in?
Well, that's a good question.
Yeah.
Like Carol said, we had no set schedule each day as to distance. It was all dependent on weather, wind, obviously. Sometimes we had it in our face. Sometimes it was for us. But yeah, I guess we were going to paddle as far as we could until we couldn't, weather-wise. So we were satisfied that we did complete it. We had some extremely beautiful weather that cooperated with that journey, and we were satisfied in that regard.
Yeah, 2017, it was warm right up into the end of October, which is really unusual, and it was sometimes quite hot, but that brought a lot of winds. There was a lot of hurricanes that were happening in south of us and in Florida and off the coast there. So we usually got the aftermath, and when we couldn't paddle, especially on the Northumberland Strait, we walked. So we walked along the road. So we did quite a bit of walking with our canoe on a canoe cart.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
and all your gear. I seen in some of your Instagram posts, you had 2 food barrels, you had 2 duffels, you had a couple other dry bags.
Yeah.
That had to make portaging extremely difficult. Just simply the amount of gear that you had to move around, and water. Once you had to get into
and the water.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
At times it was a heavy load, depending on the hills. Yeah, that's for sure.
It was about 250 pounds worth of canoe and gear that was on the cart. And actually, when you put it in the cart and you balance it all out, it's like it's balanced. So it's like rolling a suitcase through an airport, basically.
Yeah.
It's not a lot of effort until you have to go up or down a hill. And then
right.
Challenge.
And it was something where you would take shifts. You walk a kilometer, I walk a kilometer.
We tried to mix it up. I would push for maybe 15 minutes, and then Carol would take over and push for 15 minutes. So, we just tried to break up a routine and not tire ourselves out.
Mm-hmm.
At one point, Carol was pulling, we took the barrel harness off. Carol wore it like a vest, and I tied some ropes to it, and she pulled and I pushed, and it looked like, I was like, giddy up, And it worked.
That punch says that sounds like how much gear he takes for 3 days. You got to tone that down a bit, Matt.
You got to be comfortable.
Yeah, for sure. Conjuring Rock here. Another viewer is asking, where was the strangest place that you camped? Now, we'll say throughout the entire 3 years, what was the strangest place that you camped?
There was many places. In a ditch beside the road. Once we camped at a float plane runway, that had access to the water runway. Oh my goodness, we camped in city parks. We camped in marinas, behind boats. Wherever we ended up at the end of the day, and it looked like it was very flat real estate. We were on it. We had the tent there.
Yeah, I think the strangest place, though, was beside Crow's Nest Highway when we were portaging over the Rockies. We had to find a spot for the night, and we found an old abandoned paved road, and it was right at the bottom of the highway. So when you looked up, you saw the guardrails and the traffic going back and forth, and we camped right underneath that. So that was like, we felt like we were camping in the ditch, basically. So
right. Yeah, probably an old road that they had, and they probably built it up due to flooding.
Yeah.
Wow.
And another interesting place that we camped was at Lachine Locks. So we were able to camp at the lock system right downtown in Old Port, the Old Port of Montreal. So the lock master allowed us to camp right on the dock. So cool. that was really interesting.
Yeah, she said no one's ever asked to do that before, and I suppose it's okay, but she'd have to charge us a mooring fee for our canoe to make it legal. So she charged us $17 for our 17-foot canoe.
$1 a foot, eh? Was there ever any time where you were chased out of someplace? Say you're not allowed to camp here?
Not really. No, everyone was sort of accommodating, and if we weren't sure, we kind of did the stealth thing, but we always sought out the landowner if we kind of suspected it was private property, we always sought out the landowner and got permission.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Conjuring Rock says, thank you for answering his question.
Yeah. 17.
Let's take another one. This is a regular follower here who's always on the show here. What's the most Canadian moment you had while traveling across Canada?
Thanksgiving, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. When do you want to tell it?
You go ahead.
Okay, here we go.
Okay.
It was, I think, the most Canadian moment we had was when we were in Nova Scotia, and an individual found us walking on the highway, and this portion of the highway was under construction. It was very unsafe, and he was adamant that he was going to help us get through this construction site by taking our canoe and putting it in the back of his truck. But he eventually he took us to Thanksgiving dinner with his family, and we didn't even know it was Thanksgiving. Like, we were sitting on paddling, and it was like we were invited to this magnificent dinner. It was really heartwarming. It really was.
And they took us into their home and we did our laundry there, and we had a nice warm bed to sleep in while the windows were rattling with the wind at night, and it was really nice.
That was a Canadian moment.
Yeah. Very
Yeah. Now I know where you guys get it from. We'll just leave it at that right now.
Yeah.
More to come on that. Yeah. Okay. So now you got the first year you did from basically Ottawa to
Sydney, Nova Scotia.
There we go. Second leg, you trained it out to BC.
Yep, to Vancouver.
Let's talk about that and getting through the mountains. That's not an easy feat with a canoe.
Yeah. So when we talked to Mike suggested that we get a shuttle and go get on the Old Man River right from and we're like, no, we're not going to do that. Well, you got to be prepared to do some walking. And we thought, well, we're going to make it from coast to coast. We're going to be prepared to do that. And
on our own steam.
Our own steam. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So either push, paddle. Then we thought, well, why can't we bicycle too? So we made it to Hope with our canoe, and we had prearranged to purchase a couple of mountain bikes, and we'd found, and biking is also a passion of ours. We like to cycle. So we did portion of the British Columbia on the Kettle Valley Rail Trail system, which is converted now to a recreational trail from railway lines. And it was really unique and quite interesting, pedaling over trestle bridges, hundreds of feet in the air, and through tunnels with our bicycles. And we did this. We left our canoe in Hope, put it in storage, acquired our bikes, did the trail system, took our time. We arrived in Nelson, obtained a car, rented a car, went back, fetched our canoe. We sold the bicycles, and from there we were paddling and walking the rest of the way across British Columbia.
Wow, because you wanted to get across Canada under your own steam, you mentioned, right, Carol?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's right. So we had about 1,200 kilometers to do from Vancouver to get to the Old Man River Dam. And we paddled about 400 approximately, and we bicycled for 400, and then we walked over the Rocky Mountains for 400 kilometers. Wow. So, and I know Mike, I think he walked 855 kilometers over the.
I was going to say, you didn't do that 800 kilometer portage, did you? Like,
we talked about that before we left, and we thought if we did that, that'll take us all summer. We didn't know if we could survive that, or if we're not like Mike. He's a machine.
Yeah,
he
he's
just
a machine,
goes
like I
all
said.
day, 12 hours a day. And that wasn't, we weren't really out to do it in 1 year.
But
So-
you never saw two individuals so happy to reach that water source in Alberta as us.
Oh, I bet. I bet.
Yeah, after
It's easier to
400
paddle, I think, than it is walker. Well, cycling's not bad, but yeah.
Yeah. And we had a lot of blisters on our feet, so it was nice to cool them off in the rivers.
And how many pairs of shoes or sandals did two of you go through?
Well, we had just a pair of boots, but our blisters got so bad on our feet that we had to wear socks and sandals some of the way portaging. So
I think Carol had blisters on top of blisters, and then even lost a toenail. It was
lost 2 toenails.
Oh my!
Yeah.
Ouch! Ouch!
Gross.
That's what you call devoted. That's devoted.
Yeah. I guess that's a good word for it.
Okay.
That's a nice word for it.
Okay, yeah. I won't go any other way though. Right? So with the cycling portion, then what about like your gear there? Were the bicycles set up for carrying obviously all your sleeping gear, your tents, your food? Clothing?
Well, we minimized some of our gear and put them into panniers. And so we took the minimum amount that we would need: sleeping bags and a tent and a stove and some food. But we condensed all that gear that we were taking across Canada just for this bicycle trip. We left the majority of it with our canoe and then retrieved it later. So we had to downsize a bit to do the bicycling.
Right. Were there any food drops or gear drops along the way, or were you self-sufficient for?
No, we did 2 food drops.
Yeah.
And we didn't know at the onset where we would need the food or where our friends back in Kingston would send it to. So along the way, we contacted them and said, we forecast we're going to be at this location. And can you arrange a drop spot? Because we don't have access to that information. So they did all the research and then, let us know a couple of days later that it's going to this location and it should be there on this date. So I think the first food drop we missed it. We got to the location sooner than the package, and it was a long weekend, and we didn't want to hang around that extra 2 or 3 additional days. So at that location it was supposed to be dropped at, we notified them and asked them if they could forward it. So we had a lot of people involved, but everyone was so helpful. And if they could forward that to, and then we'd have to find that next address where we were going to be in the next week and a half or what have you. It all worked out. It all worked out.
Yeah.
Logistics are a bit tough when you just don't know where you're going to be.
Yeah, and especially at the pace you're going, where to you it doesn't really matter where you are at what time, right? So
yeah.
So let's talk about meal preparation for this. I seen on another interview with the two of you. I know you and on Instagram because Carol, you were laying in a sea of dehydrated foods and a couple of food barrels. What types of things were you eating? Was there something that was like a regular staple, or was it a good mix of everything?
Oh, it was a good mix of everything, because when we went the first year, it was a really good learning process for us. I was packing food because Glen was still working. I did all the food prep, and I was packing food like we would go for a 10-day trip. So what I did was I had 5 favorite meals, and I prepared 5 favorite meals for 10 weeks or 12 weeks. And by the end of the 12 weeks, when we were finished, we were so sick of those meals that we thought we're going to have to change things, because they weren't nutritious enough, and they didn't have enough calories. There was hardly any fat content. So we kind of became sluggish.
Lethargic.
You couldn't really think straight. Your brain needs fat, and there wasn't enough fiber, and not enough vitamins and minerals to sustain us. So we lost so much weight. So I did a whole lot of research after that first year and decided to just dehydrate all kinds of different varieties of food that contain more fiber and more proteins and more vitamins and minerals. So I dehydrated a lot of vegetables and pasta sauce and fruit like apples and bananas and everything that you'd need to sustain yourself for at least 6 weeks at a time. Or actually the whole trip, but so it worked a lot better. So at camp at night, what I would do is just prepare a meal. So it could be lentils with beets. It sounds not very interesting, but the lentils, there's a lot of protein and fiber in that, and the beets are a nice combination. And you put a nice balsamic vinaigrette dressing over top of that with lots of different spices, and it makes for a really good meal. So what we did then, instead of having lunches, we prepared 4 servings of supper every night and then just had leftovers the next day. So we wouldn't have to
great idea.
lunches. Yeah. And that way you still had you could keep your calorie count up, and it tasted pretty good, actually. The food
really
tasted
did, yeah.
pretty good cold. And if you didn't want to eat it cold, you could just heat it up for a minute, but we never really had time to do that. So we felt a whole lot better. And at first, the meals weren't that great. Thank goodness I had cheese, because we put cheese on everything that didn't really taste that good. But after a while, you got really creative, learned how to use all the different spices and combinations of foods, and it was good. So we made pasta meals and lots of different chicken, curry, rice meals and stews, and it was actually pretty good. Yeah.
Was there a favorite? Was there we got to have that every week type of meal?
Favorite. Yeah,
there was a pasta meal that we had that was really good, with olive oil, sun-dried tomatoes, a little bit of bacon,
goodness.
Mushrooms and red and yellow peppers, and combination of spices, and I think that was one of our favorite meals.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Jeez, that's a cool. Keelquest is saying, you're making me hungry.
Yeah.
And you know what? That is so important on a trip, whether it's a 4-day adventure or paddling across Canada.
Mm-hmm.
You have to make sure you have foods that are interesting. You can't just go with the Mountain House freeze dried. You got to have variety. You have to eat well. You have to fuel the system to keep yourself going and keep yourself lethargic, right? So.
Oh, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sure.
So through that whole second segment, there again, were there any mishaps? Was there anything throughout the whole trip that may have been life-threatening or a close call or some sort of encounter like that?
We had a few. The first one was on the highway. It's not a safe place to be if you're pushing a canoe, and it was along Crow's Nest Pass, and we were caught between a guardrail, a 2-lane highway, and a big earth-moving piece of equipment barreling down the highway, I think at too high of a rate of speed. It had a warning vehicle in front, but they had to be somewhere in a hurry, this construction crew, and they came awfully close to us. And thank goodness there wasn't anything in the oncoming lane, the way they swerved out to avoid us. So that was the closest we came on the highway. And we did have a mishap on the water. Lake Winnipeg wasn't especially kind to us, and prior
a little chuckle from Carol on that one, right?
I'm thinking
More
how
of a nervous laugh,
how I can lead into this story here, but
Yeah, such a beautiful lake. It's temperamental.
It's a goddess of a lake. It's very temperamental. It's a big, shallow lake, and it can be very calm one moment and just terrible the next. But the day before we had the mishap, we met some fishermen, and they wanted to know what we were doing, where we were going. And I explained that we were heading down the lake, and I pointed what I thought was south. And he says, no, you're going down the lake. And he pointed, like, I'm pointing south, and he's pointing east. And I'm like, again, pointing south. And I said, why are you pointing east? And he says, well, to get down there, you have to go out and around Long Point. And I went, oh, yeah, Long Point. Yes. Well, he made a point, like, it's long. Like, so we got a really early start, avoided breakfast to get up really early to make this Long Point navigation. And so our first mistake is we didn't eat, but we thought, we'll get some distance in, and we'll find a place on the shore and have some breakfast and continue on. Well, there was no access to the shore. It was rough. It was rocky. It was terrible. So
wavy and windy.
Yeah. Windy and wavy. The longer we went, the worse it got. So we eventually made it around the point, and we're now heading back to the shoreline, the west shoreline. And but the winds were picking up, and still there was no place that we could have safely got to shore. It was just a rocky mess. And as the day wore on, we were getting more and more fatigued and tired. And as misfortune had it, just when we saw a sandy, cobbly beach that we could make it to, we got hit broadside by a large wave, which immediately flipped us over. And thankfully, with our splash deck cover, it contained all our gear. I think we lost one item. It didn't matter. We were both okay. Both heads popped up, broke the surface of the water, and hauled our canoe and all our gear that was contained in it to the shore, spread all our gear out to dry. We did an inventory and made sure we were okay, and we had all our gear. And set up a fire. I think we had dinner, and I looked up, and there's two gentlemen with rifles coming down this beach. From where, I don't know. And they showed up, and they said, are you okay? And we went, yes, we're fine. We had a bit of a mishap, but we're fine. Yes, we know you had a mishap. They were First Nations gentlemen, and they were on a family retreat, and they were high up on a cliff for an outing, and they'd watched us come through the waves, bobbing, disappearing, reappearing, and then they lost sight of us completely. So they came down to investigate, and I thought that was very nice. But I said, why do you guys have guns? He says, there's a lot of bears and wolves on this beach. He says, I suggest you build a big fire tonight. And I went, you got it. I'm doing that. So I think I built this world's second largest fire on this beach. And the next morning, two other gentlemen came down, less the guns, to the beach just to make sure that we were still okay. And they wanted to know when we were heading out and where we were heading. And I thought it was a bit, peculiar, but they're obviously curious. So I explained what we're doing, and they said, okay, have a safe trip, and gave us words of what to look out for when we go down the coastline. There's shelters that fishermen use that are just shacks on the side. If you see one of those and you feel the need that you need safety, that they're open, you use them, right? They're a little refuge. So we thank them very much for that. It was 15, 20 minutes later, we packed up and started paddling along the shoreline. And lo and behold, the entire family community had come down from the mountain, the hill, the cliff, and were sitting cross-legged on the beach. And when we paddled by, they stood up and all waved and wished us good luck and safe travels. That was another true Canadian heartfelt moment. I felt really humbled by that.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, that is really neat. It's something that could have turned tragic, and amazing you had eyes on you.
Yes.
And you had no idea, right?
None.
Because we hadn't seen anyone we'd seen a few people the day before, but after that we didn't see anyone for
weeks.
2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks. Yeah, it's pretty isolated there. So it was just by chance they happened to be there. But that was basically a 12-hour day. And it was, we paddled on an empty stomach. We didn't even have time to drink water from our water bottles and just kind of dipped our hands into the lake and, wet our mouth. But I think we capsized. Well, we're not experts by any means in anything that we do, but I think just the sheer exhaustion from paddling 12 hours in challenging conditions just got the better of us. And I just wasn't watching when this wave hit us. It just didn't have the canoe at the right angle. So
right.
Yeah.
Julia B's asking, did you have to dive down under to get anything? Everything was contained within the canoe with the spray skirt. Huh?
Yep. No, everything was contained within the canoe, trapped in the spray skirt.
Mm-hmm.
And we have the splash deck, and we've got the waist. How do I describe it?
It's like a cockpit.
Yeah,
it's a skirt,
kayak, right?
Yeah. So we had those on, so everything was contained. We kind of just popped out of the skirt, but all our equipment remained within the canoe.
Yeah, and everything's in floatable bags and barrels. Even if it did, if everything did come apart, it would eventually wash to
It would
shore.
float for a short period of time, I'm sure.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Jeez. All on the local fishermen. Hey, can you grab that pack going down the river?
There's a yellow bag going by.
Yeah. So moving on to segment 3, year 3 of it there. Where did that take you from where to where? You ended up in Ottawa again, right?
Yeah. So the trip out west, we made it to Fort Francis on the Rainy River. It snowed, so we called Carol's brother and his wife, and they've always said, no matter where you are, we'll come and get you if you need us. And that was our ride home. And so we went back to Fort Francis in the spring, and we did the boundary waters between Minnesota and Ontario into Lake Superior, beautiful Lake Superior, Lake Huron, Georgian Bay, and the French River down the Ottawa River back to Ottawa.
Wow.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of portaging through the boundary waters in Quetico, and they weren't just simple little portages, that were flat, and they were a challenge.
Yeah.
It was sometimes harder to do that than it was to pull our canoe over the Rocky Mountains. It was because it's with how many bags do we have?
We had a lot of gear.
A lot of gear, 6 bags and a canoe cart in the canoe. It took us 3 trips every time. Yeah. So it was it was tough.
Yeah, some of the portages were like past the canoe up, up over the boulder.
Yeah. You know what? There's somebody in the chat there that I had on the show quite a while back, Canoe for COVID, and maybe you did the same portage they did at the one point where they were with the canoes, right?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
We heard about them paddling up north and through Wabakimi and meeting Bruce.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So through all three legs, if you had to do one of the legs over again or a portion of the trip, what was the portion of the trip that you enjoyed the most? I know it's kind of hard to pick something, I'm quite sure, traveling all across this great country of ours, but what would be the one that really stood out in your mind? Say, you know what, I'd love to go back there again and do this again.
Well, Lake Superior was pretty special.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really beautiful spiritual lake. But I really enjoyed doing the Old Man River and the Saskatchewan rivers. It was almost 2,000 kilometers worth of rivers, and it was incredibly diverse. You know, the rivers were very windy at the onset from the Rockies, but they went through badlands. We had no idea that there's cactuses and badlands and coyotes, kind of in a desert atmosphere.
In the prairies.
In Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was like a mini gorge, like a little mini Grand Canyon that's cut through the prairies. And we couldn't even see the farmland being so deep down into the river. And we actually tried to hike out a couple of times, and it was just too vast to actually see that. So that was a really beautiful part of the trip, especially by Medicine Hat to the Saskatchewan border. It was something I'd like to maybe do again sometime. It was really beautiful, and we saw moose there, an antelope. I've never seen an antelope before with her young.
Pelicans.
Yeah, white American pelicans. Something that we didn't know actually was in Canada. So it was just very wonderful to experience all the nature and the different scenes, and it was a challenge. The river was extremely muddy from all the silt, and we were slogging in mud a lot of the times, but you kind of, the scenery kind of makes up for the hardships. And we had to compete with a lot of cows for campsites too. So it was always
cows.
Yeah. They always had the good spots. They were always grazing, under a nice cottonwood tree that we wanted to be under. And
they know the good spots. They're not.
They know the good spots. Yeah.
Yeah.
But for me, it was Northern Ontario, Lake Superior, Georgian Bay. Like I just love that topography and the rugged rock, and I just love that.
That's cool. And what about seclusion? Like you mentioned at some points there, you never even seen people for a couple weeks at a time. When you come upon a community, was it like a sense of relief that you finally made it back to some civilization, or were you just more, you know what, I want to be alone? You know what I mean?
Some of the communities we paddled by, we couldn't get to. Like there was a river running through the community, but there was no access to get to the community. So we bypassed quite a few communities that way just because we couldn't access them. But yeah, when you did see a church steeple and you knew that there was a community there, it was kind of nice that, you knew there was people close by. But really, after spending so many weeks out like that, you just really, it didn't matter. You didn't really want to see anybody.
Yeah.
Did you ever come across a community and say, honey, don't have to cook tonight, let's go for dinner?
Sure. Yeah, we tried that.
Yeah, we did treat ourselves once in a while. Right?
Yeah, go get a bag of chips or something.
Yeah, an ice cream cone, my favorite. One of the things I like best when I come out of a trip like that is, I don't care if it's like the little one on a stick in a package, you get an ice cream, something nice and
Oh, you look forward to that. Yes,
yeah, most certainly.
Absolutely, yeah. And anytime we did get to a community, it was always, well, where's the LCBO? Let's go get our 3-liter bag of wine and our, cold beers.
Couple of beer.
Yeah.
It was a priority. We had lots.
You gotta have something to look forward to, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, you know what? We're at the 8 o'clock hour. I'd like to try and get the swag giveaway wrapped up here. And then when we come back, maybe we'll invite a few guests up on, but it has something that I really like to share with everybody. And it has a lot to do with how I met Glen and Carol and myself and actually my canoe partners, how we met you guys. And there was an interesting story that fell into place there. And then, of course, we'll talk more about the trip and stuff like that and some of your other interests, maybe. Is that cool?
Sure.
Sounds good.
Great.
Cool. I'm going to put... I'll drop both. Now, you know what? I'm going to leave you on screen because I'll let you announce the portion of the prize that you're going to give away. Okay. Yeah. So this is what we're going to do, everybody. Tonight's swag giveaway is brought to you by our good friends over at Algonquin Outfitters once again. Hold tight. There we go. Once again, Algonquin Outfitters is celebrating their 60th anniversary of being in business. Be sure to go check out their giveaway that they have going on their website right now. Well, not right now, after the show. But anyways, the link is in the description below. Be sure to check that out. For tonight's swag giveaway, of course, we're going to have a Canoehound Adventures prize pack that we're giving away. It's the usual of we have iron-on decals, a couple other things. And I'm also going to throw in a Canoehound Adventures hat. Don't get excited about this one because this is a one-of-a-kind right now. But we will include a Canoehound Adventures baseball cap. Thanks to the generosity of one of the viewers, Kel J, who on our last episode gave a rather generous super chat. Thank you very much, Kel. It's my way of giving back. I really appreciate that. Also, Algonquin Outfitters is going to be giving a couple of vouchers, one for a rental, one for $25 off any of their gear or services that they offer at any of their locations. And the rental is also good at any of their locations for anything that they rent out, whether it's winter gear, summer gear, spring, or fall. We also have an anonymous donation of a $75 MEC gift card, which has been graciously donated. And also, Glen and Carol, you have something you'd like to add to the pot?
Our book, Canoe for Change, A Journey Across Canada. It's a book that Glen and I wrote together. And it's, there it is.
We'll include a copy of that.
Yeah.
There you go. Mine's autographed.
Yeah.
Autographed.
Signed. Thank you very much. That's awesome. Okay, so for tonight's swag giveaway question, you have until Saturday at 11 p.m. to get your answer into us. That way anybody who watches the replay of the video still has the opportunity to get in. But email your answer to coasprize@gmail.com. That's going across the bottom of the screen. Very good giveaway this week. Make sure you get yourselves entered. I'd like to see a lot of faces and names in my email box in the next couple days. Tonight's question is, over how many years did it take Carol and Glen to complete their journey across Canada? Very simple question. We've mentioned this many, many times. I think all three of us have mentioned it many, many times, right? So, yeah, there's a hint for the night. Anyways, I'll leave this on screen here for a few minutes, and that way everybody can make sure they get the email address straight. Enter. You can't win if you don't have a ticket. That's what my mama used to say. So, alrighty. So, interesting story. This is a little off topic from what your book is about, and Canoe for Change. I had the pleasure of actually meeting Glen and Carol this year when we were on a canoe trip up in the West Spanish Forest, which is for us it was north of Espanola, and from where they come in on the trip, they come in from Biscoe-Tacing, Ontario, and interesting story. One of our guys that were on the trip, he was going to scout a campsite on an island. I think that was Dusty Lake, was it not?
It was Dusty Lake.
Yeah.
Dusty Lake. And we had found one campsite, and there was supposed to be another campsite at the other end of the island or on another island. And our buddy Rick disappeared for a little bit in his kayak. And just when we thought he was gone too long, we were going to go start looking for him. He come back and said, "Oh no, I met this wonderful couple over on the other campsite, and I was chatting with them, and very interesting. And they're going to pop by to see us tomorrow." So what happened there?
Yeah, so we completed this squishy, marshy portage, which you guys experienced after the next day. And it started to rain a little bit. And Carol and I were paddling around looking for a campsite. So we settled on this little island, and we'd set up, put the tarp up and the tent because it was starting to rain a little bit. And we were just had dinner going, and all of a sudden we hear a voice, and yep, it was your friend Rick there, and he was in a kayak, and I'm like, hello, like, where did you come from? Because we struggled to get into this dusty lake. And then he explained that the group, you guys were on the other campsite on the larger island, and yeah, it was. We had a nice conversation with Rick, and we were looking at maps and trying to figure out where we came from and where he was coming from. You guys were coming from. It was great.
And at that point,
it was interesting because we were doing a sort of a south to north loop, and you two were doing a north to south, north again loop type of thing, right?
Portion our trips overlapped. They intersected. Yeah.
Yeah. Now you two were. This was a leisure trip for the two of you, right?
Yeah.
So the fact that Rick had actually run into you, and then he mentioned to us that you were actually going to pop by the campsite to say hello and stuff, and lo and behold, the next morning, the two of you come paddling up, and we had a nice little conversation for quite a while.
Yeah. We had a nice little chat and found out, excuse me, that our routes were going to intersect again at some point when we would go north and you guys would be coming south. Just over years. Yeah.
And it worked out on Dusty Lake because we had the smaller of the two campsites on that little island, because I don't think you would have been able to fit.
I don't think you guys would have been
on that little island. And so you had the spot I think you were happy with. So it worked out for everyone. But boy, we were surprised to see Rick, because we've been out for 4 days, and Glen says, "Come on, have a seat.
Yeah,
come on inside." And he was soaking wet head to toe, and of course it rained all day, right? That was the kind of trip it was. So it was fun to see someone after, it's always fun to see someone when you're trekking that has similar interests. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You know what, that entire trip was, well, not the entire trip, the first 4 days, 4 to 4.5 days, Mother Nature just beat us down with the weather. It was cool. It was misty. It was rainy. It was downpour. It was a little bit of everything that they threw at us on that trip.
Yeah.
And then you guys warned us of that big bog which was it was an experience. You told us that it was going to be an experience because you experienced it the day before, right?
Yeah, just that day.
We had, and we have we got the route from Kevin Cowan's book, Top 60 Canoe Routes of Ontario. And he said that he portaged across that bog when it was dry.
A dry
season.
Were
really dry that year. And he said it would be a real challenge and really wet if you get a little bit of rain the day before. Well, we had a whole lot of rain the whole week before. And the peat bog was just like a sponge, and it just filled up with water. And we were like you, up to your ankles in water, slogging
and
through. And
post-holing and the whole 9 yards.
Yeah. And what was it, 1 kilometer long, something like that?
Yeah, I think it was about 700 to 800 meters. But it had that big rest island in the center. That big rock in the middle.
Yes.
And believe it or not, the black flies were out in swarms. We got there. Yeah, you had a respite there. You had an opportunity to rest your legs and drop your pack or something for a bit. But we got eaten alive by black flies, right?
Yeah. Oh my, yeah.
So much so. I don't. If you remember Seth, that was on the trip with us. His ears from the black fly bites swelled. He looked like Dumbo. He said he had a hard time sleeping because he had these 2 pillows on each side of his head, right?
Oh, no.
Oh yeah, they got him good. Yeah, very, very interesting. Now, I haven't posted the videos for this yet because I'm having, as I mentioned, editor's block on this whole video. It's there's quite a bit of footage and a lot of things went on, and it's probably going to be a few parts, anyways. But during that portion, or when you actually paddled by in the morning, we had a great opportunity to meet each other because I did a quick little interview, if you remember correctly.
Yes, yes.
And first thing I said was, like, because I asked you, I seen on Canoe for Change, and Rick had mentioned it, and you told us about it as part of the interview. So that was rather interesting as well.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah. You never know where you could spread the word, right?
Yeah.
That's right. Never miss an opportunity.
Yeah. So let's fast forward a bit. Okay. Now we're heading north. You guys are sort of getting ready to start heading back north again because your Dusty Lake was kind of down lower. And I'll set the scene because it was a day that ended the way that we didn't really expect it to end. We started the day quite early because we were shooting for a particular lake and a campsite that we seen on the map. And after a 1,400 meter portage being done 3 times, essentially a double carry, having to blaze a 200 meter portage through the bush because there wasn't a portage down to Mishap Creek, which is where you guys are kind of ending your trip.
Mm-hmm.
And then we portaged over into, and there again, I'm still forgetting the name of the lake, but we got over to the next lake, and we get to the campsite, and the campsite is not well, there's a campsite there, but it's like for one kind of tent maybe, right? Mm-hmm. And we had 6 guys. I got a hammock, and then we got like 4 other tents because the guys don't want to sleep in the same tent with each other, right?
Yeah,
sure.
Of course. And so we decide we're going to forge forward, and we're going to head down to Alton Lake, where we seen what would be or should be the next campsite. And we are now getting into heavy winds, winds blowing sort of to the northwest, but we're being chased by a storm from the southwest, if that makes sense. They were sort of doing this, right?
Yes.
And it rained, and then we're into all these boggy portages and walking and wading our canoes through and over beaver dams. And just when we get to the portage that we think is going to take us into Alton Lake, the sky opened up. And I'm sure you two got to experience that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It opened up, and it wasn't coming down in raindrops. It wasn't coming down in buckets. It was coming down in sheets.
And it was sideways. It wasn't
sideways,
and
it was freezing cold. And it was freezing cold. It the temperature probably dropped a good 15 degrees in minutes.
Yeah.
By this time, there's 6 guys all huddled underneath a tarp. We're all underneath our tarp on the shore, just shivering because we're already soaked.
Yeah.
And we withstood that for half hour's time. At that time, Rick and Owen went to search for the portage because we were at the portage and we had no other place we can get off there. Because you remember after that portage, it was all alders. Both sides.
There's nothing, no place to camp.
Yeah.
Kilometers, right? Yeah.
It's this bush.
And long story short, we finally get to Alton Lake after the portage and more wading and more over beaver dams. And now the sun is starting to go down because that day turned out to be maybe a 14 or a 15-hour day for us, given the time we started. But we knew there was a campsite coming up. So we're paddling, and Dennis here is in his solo canoe, and I'm paddling up, and I come across where the campsite is, and I go, oh no, somebody's in our campsite. Can anybody in the chat guess who was in our campsite? Well, not our campsite because we didn't have possession of it.
Yeah.
Friends over here.
Yeah.
Glen.
Yeah. Well, I remember it was dusk. It was getting dark. Carol and I had already gone into the tent because like everything was just like what a storm, right? And I heard a voice, and I went, "It can't be." And there was no way we were going to let you guys go past without having dry land to take refuge on. So waved the whole group in. We pointed out various plots of land that you could put up a tent, and we were glad that you guys got off the water. Carol and I talked about our long 12-hour day. We had a mishap. That's what happens at the end of long, fatiguing days. Like your judgment just gets a little clouded. Things but there was no way we were going to let you go past.
Do you remember what I said when I come paddling up? Because you probably wouldn't have known we were there. I go, "Hello, neighbors."
Oh no, we never heard.
All of a sudden you hear, out comes Glen. He goes, "Guys, what are you doing out there?
Get in here.
We don't know what we're doing out here."
Oh, and you were a sight, the 6 of you with your 2 dogs soaking wet, and you looked exhausted.
Cold.
It was just,
yeah.
It felt so
Owen was probably borderline setting into hypothermia.
I
He was
was
falling
worried.
asleep and frozen, or like cold and shivering in the front of the canoe.
I was worried about him. But he right to bed he went.
So to just to say, we had a conversation while we're sitting there on the water. It is now getting dark. Like it is not like we set up in the black of night. That's how long the day was and how serious the situation was for us. I don't like to downplay it, but I don't want to upplay it either. But we were in a pickle. We knew there was also a fly-in camp on Alton Lake, which you had mentioned that somebody had been flown into. As you were passing through, and we happened to meet them the next day at the portage. We struck up a conversation with them as well. We didn't mention what had happened or said like, "Hey, could we have camped there at your camp or whatever?" But that would have been our alternate destination, and it was occupied as well. So as I mentioned, we were in a serious pickle. Had you not been so hospitable to take us in, and that's what I mentioned, the true Canadian nature and the givingness of Canadians, not to say just Canadians, because I know we have a lot of American fans in here too, but the fact that you were so hospitable to take us in, and Carol right away got on it. She says, "I'm boiling you some water so you could have some hot tea or soup or something." And then you proceeded to cut us up a salami and stuff like that. Like that there, you know what? It chokes me up.
we have a lot of people that helped us out, and like you pay it forward, and how can you turn someone away really when they're in a pickle? So it's it's a Canadian. I guess that's what we do. And Americans,
that's what we all do.
Campers, outdoors people, they know what it's like to be out there and be in a pickle, and try to help where you can.
And Dennis, this is what your show does. It brings the outdoor community together.
Yep. And I could tell you from the bottom of my heart, and Jay, Owen, Nash, Seth, and Rick, we are all so grateful that you took us in, because we honestly had no idea what we were going to do. And now keep in mind, everybody, their campsite was not a big campsite either, right?
It was tiny.
Yeah, I ended up bunking with Nash in his canoe, or in his tent, which was just pushed into the bush. Jay and Owen were off in another spot, and I think Rick and Seth were right underneath your tarp. Shoehorned everything right in, right?
Yeah, we utilized all the space.
Yeah. And then the next morning was awesome. We woke up, sunshine, first sunshine of the trip.
Yeah, basically, we sat around. You made us some nice coffee, and it was great to meet you all. And what a great bunch of guys you are. It was really fun. Sit around and chat. And
the cool part of that too is I got to see how you feed Glen. Because you made your oatmeal look good, right? They sit down beside us and they've got their tin of porridge, right? And then they're throwing handfuls of dried fruit into it and stuff. And milk. You had the dried milk or powdered milk that you
Oh, yeah.
reconstituted and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like, and here I am eating my oatmeal with just apples in it, right? It's like, but you had given enough, so that was all right. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was a fun time.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, you know what? You've made a lifelong friend of myself, and I'm sure the other guys too. Like I say, Jay's purchased your book and stuff like that, and we tell all the stories. I just got back from 4 days in Naganash, and of course, what happened there, that mishap was the topic of many conversations while we were camping as well, because you know what, it is a true story to share, and it's something that'll obviously live in this brain for quite a long time, just to show that, you know what, I've been canoeing a long time, and it can happen. It can happen. You know what I mean? Don't ever underestimate or go with that thought in your head that, oh, it won't happen to me. Too many people have lost their lives or gotten themselves in a serious situation because they think that way. It's serious. There's no help. My next thing is I got my spot device.
Right.
If it had gotten too serious. So thank you very much, you two, for what you did for us out there.
Oh my.
No problem.
Yeah.
Do it all over again.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you know what? Like I say, we got lifelong friends. Anyways, you know what? Let's I'm gonna put the invitation in the chat right now. If anybody'd like to come on up and ask Glen and Carol a question maybe about their cross Canada journey, please do so, because you know what? We want to learn a lot more about it, because there's a lot of things. There's the link there, StreamYard. All you need to do is, if you come on, please shut off your YouTube volume. Just go by the volume that you have on StreamYard so that we don't get that feedback issue. So that's a good thing. Let's see here. I'm gonna go. What else have I got for? I want to learn a little bit more about your canoeing backgrounds. How long have you two been canoeing together, or does it go back to your teenage days type of thing, or?
We've been canoeing. We started out like you did with a bunch of friends, and that's how we started canoeing. Glen and I together have been canoeing for about 13 years now, something like that. So my background, basically, my parents gave me the love of camping at a very early age. They instilled the great outdoors in me even before the age of 6, when they took me camping all through Europe when we lived there. And I did a lot of car camping with our own family, with our kids, but backcountry camping is totally different. So I remember a fellow at work, one of our team, he used to go paddling once a year for a week to Algonquin Park, and I didn't even know he could do anything like that. So I was just very amazed that you could actually do that. So I bought all kinds of books. That was before the internet. Bought all kinds of books and learned everything about it. I guess I'm just totally self-taught. Taken a few paddling courses and first aid, the basic stuff. But I think I've learned mostly by trial and error, and together we've learned a lot. As well. Yeah. So we're, I always say we're by no means experts. We may not paddle properly or do everything correctly, but it works for us.
Yeah, it works for us. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And Carol, you're very good on the stern of the canoe.
Oh, she is.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm just the wheelhouse at the front. Carol does all the finessing.
I seen you in another interview. You say you got the big wide paddle, and you just put all the power in there. She gets in and out of the slalom, right?
Carol steers it like amazing. Like she can maneuver a canoe. And go with the waves and Yeah.
So you just learn through experience. I did anyway.
Good. Yeah.
So somebody in the chat had asked earlier about what lightweight gear you would suggest and stuff like that. And the reason why I'm bringing that up, well, obviously because she asked the question too, but it has to do with when we met you on out in the West Spanish Forest there. After you had left us, our topic of conversation on Dusty Lake about you guys is, look how little gear they got. It's like you had next to nothing in your canoe. Yet when we seen you over on Alton Lake, you had the tarps up, the tent up, like, you know, what?
I know, we just kind of explode on the beach, don't we?
Yeah.
I know we our gear is pretty lightweight. We have lightweight tarps, of course, and an MSR tent, which is the lightest tent we could find on the market. There might be lighter ones out there, but I think it weighs about 5 pounds, 3-man tent. And we even have little camp chairs that weigh, I don't know, just a little over 1 pound.
Got to be comfortable.
So you have to be, comfort is a huge thing for us. And I think for many paddlers, you have to be comfortable. You have to, enjoy your downtime. There's nothing like getting up first thing in the morning and having a cup of coffee in your camp chair and just watching the sun come up and the world wake up. And, it's just such a special time that we have every morning, Glen and I. And as far as gear goes, we use a lot of MSR gear. We have the little jet kind of stove.
The jet boil.
Jet boil, yeah. It's very compact. It makes a lot of noise, but it sure boils water pretty quick. And one of the things that we use to save fuel on is I have a insulated pot holder. So a lot of the food kind of, once it reaches boiling point, I put it in this little pot insulator and it kind of cooks itself. So we save a lot of food that way, so we don't have to bring so much fuel.
It's like a cozy, like a pot cozy. It's
Yeah. It's very important to have something like that when you're dealing with dehydrated foods, because like you say, once you boil, you only want to boil once if you can, right?
Right. Yeah. And the big one's food. If you can dehydrate all your food and try to keep that really light, then that makes a big difference too. So, but you have to have your comforts as well, though. We usually take some wine with us, or Bailey's. I think I saw a bottle of Bailey's in your, on your camp.
You gotta have some flavor. Extra
you gotta have the comforts.
Right? Yeah.
We have it at night though, but not for breakfast in the morning like you did.
It's either carry sugar or
and Dennis,
just kidding.
It's how you pack your gear too for us. Like we've packed so many times, we just know how every time we pack the bag, it's almost the same way because we know how it fits and it's just condensed.
Yeah. Well, the two of you on Alton Lake there, you had your, like, when you were setting up to leave in the morning, your gear was down, boom, 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 done. You guys were in the canoe and ready to go. It was like regimented. Now, obviously, that comes through 3 years going across Canada.
Well, we have a place for all our gear, and it always goes in the same place. So even if it's dark, we could set up because we know what's in the little kit bag, whether it's ropes or a tarp, or in the big canoe pack is packed the same way, the same sequence. So even if we pack up in the dark, if all of a sudden the bag doesn't, there's something missing, right? Because it fits right there. So
you know your inventory type of thing.
But that just came with us just through a frequency and experience of doing it over and over and over, day in and day out. So.
And, with our clothes too, we have lightweight clothes, quick dry clothes, and we may have one change of warm clothes to get into if we get wet, but the trick is not to get wet. Just have a really good rain suit and put that on as soon as, if it's a little shower, so you avoid getting wet, and then you avoid, getting hypothermia when it gets really tough. So I think having the correct gear for the right conditions is a huge factor. Having a good rain suit, spending a little extra on a good rain suit so you stay dry.
And when we first started canoe camping, we would take stuff and then bring it home, and we'd unpack it, and we go, we never wore this or we never used this. So maybe we won't take it next time. And if you do take it the next time and the same thing happens, I didn't use this or I didn't wear this, why are you taking it? Like that's reduce your weight.
Yeah.
Yeah, you really need to fine tune your packing list for sure, right? And second guess. I'm notorious for bringing like, you know, far too many knives. Say for instance, you know, I got the bushcraft knife, I've got my multi-tool, and I've got a fillet knife. Like there's 3 cutting implements right there, right?
You never know when you're going to lose a knife, though.
Yeah.
Right?
True. But the other guys, one of the other guys are going to have it, unless you're solo, right? But and then you also have like, you know, a headlamp, you know, or maybe a Lucy light, or you know, a few different lighting sources, right?
Yeah.
There again, you limit yourself to one. What do you think is the most overlooked piece of camping gear? You just mentioned one is like, you know, people skimp on their rain gear, right?
Right.
What do you think is the most overlooked type of gear that people should not skimp on?
Maybe a lightweight tarp.
Yeah.
It's, you know, there may be times when you think, you know, why am I taking it? But, you know, if it's lightweight and it compresses down into the corner of the bag, boy, you sure do like to have it when you need it. If it's starting to rain, you know, you got to put that tarp up. Like there's times we won't put a tarp up, you know, but there are evenings when we're thinking, I think we're going to get rain in the morning, so we'll put the tarp up the night before. But yeah, you're glad you have it when you need it.
Yeah. Now it's a prevention, right?
Yes.
Julia B's asking, what kind of sleeping bag do you bring on your adventures? Are they lightweight too?
Yeah, we've got heavier sleeping bags for the cooler seasons in the fall, and then we have lightweight sleeping bags for our summer adventures. And with both, either the lightweight or the heavier bags, we sleep in silk liners. And that liner not only keeps the bag a bit cleaner, but it, believe it or not, gives you that little bit more additional warmth if you do need it.
But they're down and they're lightweight. We have to replace our winter bags because we took them across Canada with us, and they're kind of wearing a little thin. So we have, but that's the whole trick, is to get as lightweight as possible. Unfortunately, the lighter it gets, the more expensive it is. But it really is good to output that money for something if you want to go lightweight.
Yeah. And we always say, you know, if you're good to your equipment, look after your equipment will look after you.
Exactly.
And if you get good stuff, it'll be good.
Yeah.
All too many times I've bought or purchased cheaper gear, and I always ultimately in the end up buying the higher priced, better quality gear that lasts a lifetime.
Yeah.
Say, right?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's worth it.
Got somebody in the basement here let's bring them up on screen. Somebody I'm sure you're quite familiar with, Mr. Kevin Callan. How you doing there, Kevin?
Hi, Kevin.
Nice to meet you.
How you doing tonight, Kev?
Good. I'm great. I missed most of the show tonight. Sorry, I was working. Oh, look at that.
Yeah, we've got your book. We're
Yeah.
using the roots in there, Kevin. Thank you.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, no, I all of a sudden I was like, I was working and I was like, oh, Dennis, the show's on. Woo, yeah. Yeah. So the book. So you wrote a book about this journey, and is it available everywhere, or?
It's available online. So the easiest way to get to it is just Google Canoe for Change, and everything will come up. And if you can go to our website as well. We have a website, canoeforchange.ca, and there's a book tab on there, and that's gives you all the different kinds of venues to buy the book online.
So who came up with the book? What was all of a sudden the epiphany? It was like, oh, we should write a book about this.
Well, this pandemic thing happened, and we found we had a lot of spare time on our hands. So we thought, what the heck? Let's tell everyone about our story. We had lots of notes, and it was fun writing the story. It was like reliving the adventure for us. So
yeah. And then we delved into the history of Canada a little bit more and all the places that we went to. And it was a great project. It was a fun project to do during a pandemic because we were, like everyone, locked down and couldn't venture or travel. We could still paddle and walk.
It was an education in itself. And we can really appreciate, Kevin, what you go through when you put out your books. They're a lot of work, a lot of detail, and we know it's very time consuming.
Oh no, it's not at all. It's just it's easy peasy.
So easy peasy from the guy who's written 17 of them, right?
Yeah, right.
So what's next for you guys? You went across Canada and you also saved Dennis. So what's next?
Quite literally, they saved us. They saved us.
It is funny. Go back to that. So I miss all this because I was working tonight. Was it going into Dusty Lake?
That's where we first met with Dusty.
Saying they're talking about you tonight about this portage, this mucky portage. Because I know the biscuit tasting area quite well, but the last couple of times I've done it, it was like there's no water at all.
Yes. Yeah.
So
there was lots of water this year.
We had lots of water, and water levels were up. Yes.
Yeah.
Was it going into Dusty?
Yes.
Oh, that one.
Yes.
Was,
that was the portage from
Dusty to Mazagban.
Yes, that's the one.
Yeah. Oh, because you're going the other way. Oh, Mazabang, that's a beautiful lake, though. By the way,
it is a beautiful lake.
Yeah.
Campsites are crap, but yeah.
Crystal clear waters. That was a really beautiful lake. We spent a lot of time on that.
Yeah,
it was nice, just exploring. It was pretty,
But
so Kevin,
that was all like
we first met. They were coming down, they were coming. I got to go opposite. They were coming down. We were going up.
Yeah,
it's all opposite. And then we met at Dusty Lake for the first time, and then they, it was like this, and we met at Alton Lake, is where they saved our bacon.
Oh, okay. Well,
yeah.
I hope you caught brook trout in there.
No, you know what? We didn't have one fish meal on that trip.
What?
We did not eat. We caught fish. I caught my personal best pike on Dusty Lake as soon as we entered Dusty Lake from the portage. Okay. And then we caught a lot of like really nice bass. We didn't catch any trout. We didn't really fish for trout. But yeah, we never had one fish meal. Our days were so packed full of trying to stay dry.
Yeah,
that it just didn't happen. We didn't have a layover day in the 7.5 days we were there.
That's nasty. Yeah. I agree with the tarp. I mean, really, the tarp is your godsend. I would spend more money on a tarp than I would a tent for sure. Yeah. So you guys went across Canada. You saved Dennis's bacon. What are you doing next?
Well, we're always looking, like, I don't know, every waking hour, it seems like, where can we go next? Like, it's always fun looking for the next adventure. So it would be really nice if we could paddle to the Beaufort Sea or something, like the northern sea that borders Canada, because we've done both, from the Atlantic to the Atlantic to the Pacific, or the Pacific to the Atlantic. So we're looking into a trip that goes from the Paw, north of Lake Winnipeg.
Oh, yeah.
To Great Slave Lake, and then up down the Mackenzie River to the Beaufort Sea. But
wow.
That's just in our, and we have to do something.
We're going to have to do a little research.
A little research on that. But it's got to be a monumental year because we're both turning 65. So we've got to do something great.
Oh, wow. Hey, have you guys recently, have you been at a dinner party? Well, but probably not because of COVID, whatever. But, and people are talking about, I want to do this in my life. I do this. And then you just, like throw the mic down and shut the room down, saying, "Yeah, well, we paddle across Canada. Like, what the hell? What's your problem?"
Mic drop, eh?
Have you done that?
No.
God.
No.
Well, why not?
Well, Kevin, you know, when we did paddle and we came across other adventurers, whether they be hikers or bikers or what, and they all had incredible stories. It was like, I was like, wow, that's great. So, you know, everyone does a great adventure, or they do something, you know, so.
Yeah, even if it's a week or it's a month, or you know, it's a river that they've always wanted to do. It's, you know, it's what you want to do in your heart that matters.
Yeah.
So.
Wow. That's amazing response. That's fantastic. And yeah, I'm going to get your book for sure.
Oh, nice. You. Yeah.
Kevin reads a lot. I always see his Facebook posts there. Tonight's read.
I do. Yeah. I kind of weird that way, but yeah. A lot of old books. So not
Kevin,
that your book is old. Your book is new. So
yeah.
Kevin, stick around on screen here. I got Evan down in the basement. I'd like to bring up because I'm sure he has a question for.
No, I'm gone. I'm out of here.
No. Okay,
I'm a
that's up to you.
man.
I don't want to push you off screen.
No, I'm very important. I gotta go.
It was nice meeting you, Kevin.
It's great meeting you guys. Fantastic. Good luck with the book. And yeah, for sure, I got to pick it up. And really good cause that you were doing, and really good trip. And so glad you saved Dennis, because we wouldn't have a show tonight if you.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we'll meet in person someday, Kevin, on some kind of lake or river.
Yeah.
If you guys got the tarp up the site when it's raining, I'm going to you.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. You'll never find Kevin out there. He's like Sasquatch, right? He supposedly exists, but you can never find him out there. So he knows all the good hiding spots.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed your books, Kevin. Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much.
Actually, Kevin, before you disappear off screen, little story about Naganash.
Oh,
right? Are you familiar with Naganash Provincial Park, Glen, Carol?
No.
Okay, it's kind of just below the French River, up off 69 type of thing.
Okay.
Went there with the few buddies here on the weekend, and we run into another paddler there, and we met him at a portage, and he says to me, a little conversation strikes up, and we go, "Oh yeah, you done this before?" He says, "Yeah, I used to come here a lot." He says, before Kevin Callan started to talk about it, it got really, really busy. And then we got on to the use it or lose it topic, right? So
I know. I'm the wilderness pornographer. Yeah,
there you go.
He's got a good point. Whoever it was, he's got a really good point.
Bob, if you're watching, hi, how you doing, buddy?
Yeah, no, he's got a really good point. I mean, the other side of the coin of it is that they were going to log the crap out of that place. It's funny, Dennis. So during the pandemic, I've been kind of working on a project, a book, kind of a pet project on the porch at night. And another bend on the river, it's called, and it ended up to become more of a memoir than anything, right? And so I started writing about why I was writing about canoe routes, and I mentioned Naganash, and I looked into my journals, and I remember going to the Minister of Natural Resources and Ontario Parks. They would invite me for lunch, and during the Living Legacy 1999 Living Legacy, when they created 238 parks. And I'm not one, and you know me, Dennis, I'm not one to blow my own horn, but I read my journal, and those parks were created because of my writings. And I remember going to lunch with those guys, and they said, Kevin, let's not talk about this, but can you tell us, because we got 2 months to create these parks because of this whole program, where would you put these parks? And I started, and Naganash was one of them. And the reason why is they were going to log it. That entire area, they're going to log it. So you know what? That guy had a really good point. I think he has an excellent point. But if we didn't create that into a park, what would it be now?
Yeah,
it's 2 hours from Toronto.
It's a beautiful spot. Beautiful spot. But maybe we shouldn't be talking about it too much right now, because
and that pike you caught. I just saw it tonight. The pike you caught. Oh my Lord, man.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. That's that. You know what? two monster pike I got this year. I can't believe it.
Wow.
That's,
I don't see Martin Pine catching pike like that.
No. We won't get into that. And there again, that was another topic of conversation, of course, was all these giant fish and bass, because we did catch quite a few bass too.
Yeah, it's good fishing.
And we actually did eat. Look at that monster, people!
Wow! Oh my goodness!
God. I would not go swimming in Noggin, I should tell you that.
I know, right? I didn't know those things were in there.
Wow!
That's actually bigger than your penis. Gotta go.
Thank you, Kevin.
Okay, bye-bye.
We'll talk to you later, man. Always good for a chuckle, eh? Evan, are you ready to pop up on screen, sir? There we go. We got Evan in the basin there. How you doing tonight, Evan?
Good. How are you, Dennis?
Very good, thanks. Thanks for coming up on panel. Got a question?
Yeah. Well, I got one of my questions was actually answered during that last one, but so I'm from Alberta, and she was talking about the South Saskatchewan River. I actually live right on the North Saskatchewan River. It's only about 5 kilometers from me.
Oh, nice.
So, anyways, there's a spot. I'm trying to remember. I think it's called Policeman, or it's right in Medicine Hat, and I've been there fishing quite a few times. I'm a pretty avid fisherman.
Mm-hmm.
And I was wondering if you guys actually got out and went into the city there.
We
in
did.
Medicine Hat,
Yes, we did.
Yeah, we did.
Is that the park that you went from, the city? So there's a little creek. There's a little creek right on the other side of the river, and then there's like a rodeo ground or a fairground or something there.
No, we actually, you know where the bridge is? We climbed up the muddy bank there of the bridge, and there was there's a picnic table with a little park, and then we walked up the hill to campground, and we stayed there overnight, and that's where we did our restocking of food supplies.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, so that's where we stayed. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
interesting.
I'm not sure if that's the same spot you were mentioning.
No, where I'm talking about, there's a bend, and they call it the death hole, is what the fishermen call it, because it's just loaded with sturgeon. You can catch 50 or 60 of them a night easily at the right time of year.
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's probably one of the best sturgeon fishing spots in the entire country. That whole area, the Badlands in southern Alberta there, are just loaded with sturgeon.
Oh, is that right? Yeah. We probably paddled right over that then. Not even knowing.
My logistics question is, when you guys got into Saskatchewan, was it easy to get through Lake Diefenbaker?
Yes.
It was a dead calm day. It was pretty calm.
It was calm.
On that
it was a hot day. Yes.
But we were actually winded before we got on Diefenbaker for one day. We had to stay on shore because it was windy, but then it became really calm, which we were really thankful for.
And why do you ask, Evan? Is it normally hard to get onto? Is it windy?
I would just have no idea. I was just curious if you could get on there, or if the dam would screw you up somehow.
Oh, there is the dam at the end, but we portaged around that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Yeah. See, I haven't done any canoeing in my life. I've just kind of been watching and kind of trying to get my feet wet. I've done lots of kayaking.
Right.
Canoeing isn't really super popular here in Alberta. It's more like kayaking or big whitewater rafts.
Yeah.
Right. We noticed that.
Yeah.
We didn't see too many other paddlers. Yeah.
Yeah. Most or jet boats. There's a pile of jet boats as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm trying to get my canoe skills honed in, because I want to do a trip from Hinton, Alberta, which would be almost to the headwaters of the Athabasca River.
Okay.
All the way to the Athabasca Lake, it's about a 1,230 kilometer paddle.
Oh wow, nice.
So I'm taking in all the research and stuff I can. I'm actually sick right now. I actually have COVID.
Oh no!
You guys can't catch it through the screen, hopefully.
No. Everybody put their mask on.
Oh my!
Well, we wish you a speedy recovery.
Yeah.
My little one brought it from the school, so.
Oh, she did. Oh my! So
I feel.
If you ever want more information and help planning your trip, just give us a call or shoot us an email or whatever. We'd be happy to chat with you about it.
Yeah, you guys don't have a YouTube channel, eh?
No.
No.
Instagram?
That is too bad.
Instagram and Facebook, and we have a website. But
Oh,
there's
cool,
so many. There's so many great YouTubers out there, like Dennis and.
I like the Baird brothers myself. They're my favorite.
There you go.
We've watched started watching the Canoehound venture show. We've been exposed to so many great videos and YouTubers. It's we do that almost every night now.
There's that guy from Newfoundland. I can't remember his name now, right off the top of my head.
Oh, that's Justin Barber.
Justin Barber.
Yeah.
You need to get him on your show next.
week.
Yeah.
Oh, he is?
Yes.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
I won't be stuck at home next week.
Kevin?
I won't be at home next week. I'll be actually out free.
Oh, geez.
I'll be able to get out of my bedroom by then.
Oh, there you go. Well, I hope you have a speedy recovery. How are you feeling?
I haven't actually been sick at all the whole time. I am double vaccinated, so it's kind of a breakthrough case, but I lost my taste and smell, and that's what set it off for me.
Oh,
Yeah.
Like I couldn't smell or taste absolutely nothing.
Wow.
Which actually was kind of a godsend, because if that wouldn't happened, I would have just thought I had a little bit of a stuffy nose from an average cold, and I would have been out spreading it around. And it's already a big enough problem here in Alberta. I don't need to be spreading it around anymore.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Alrighty. Any more questions for Glen and Carol, or are we good?
No, I don't have any more questions. And I could probably think of 20, but
Yeah. No, that's cool. Thanks for joining us on panel. I appreciate it, Evan.
alrighty, thanks, guys.
Tell everybody how easy it was.
Oh,
How
yeah.
easy- Oh yeah, it was easy.
See, there you go, people. Don't be
The
shy.
feed-
over there. I
The
put
feed
the
on my
next one.
phone is ahead of the feed on the TV. So if you come and wait in the room, you're actually like about 5 seconds ahead of everybody else.
Yeah. That's the only thing. There's a bit of lag there. That's why I say you got to shut off the volume, because you get that feedback comes in, right? So
Yeah, I muted the TV. So
there you go. Awesome, man. I appreciate you popping on panel. Thanks.
alrighty, I'll be popping up next time.
All right. Keep the adventures alive, my friend.
Thanks.
All right. That's awesome. So that's interesting, how people are asking you about like, particular areas of the trip that you've done. How fresh in your memory is it, or are you journal? Like, do you journal every night at the end of the day, or do you have notebooks upon notebooks of information?
Yeah, we journaled every day, most days anyway, or if we had a really, strenuous day, we journaled the next day, but we recorded almost everything. So that enabled us to write the book and, and keep all those memories alive, along with the photos. And so it's nice that we were able to actually write the book and then kind of recreate the journey again, relive the journey again, I guess.
Yeah.
So it was a fun thing to do. Mhm.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. And you were obviously referenced back to those journals to write your book, right?
Mhm.
We did. Yeah.
That's what it looks like, people. Make sure you get yourselves a copy. Just want to say that to anybody that does want more information or does want to get a copy of the book, the links are all in the description below, to their Instagram, Facebook, their website, their charity, where you can buy the book. You could even buy an autographed or a signed copy on their website. So that's the one you should go for. I think so, right?
Yeah.
So, do all the books go directly through you, or do they go through your publisher, or how does that work?
Oh, there's different online venues. They go through our publisher, which is Frisian Press, and we can send you a copy, or the other online,
Like Amazon.
and Indigo chapters, and we can buy a electronic version. There's all different kinds, and they're selling everywhere. So,
which one actually nets you the best bang for your buck, or to help out the organization?
Frisian Press, because they don't take a huge cut, and if we mail a copy, that also that helps us as well. And a portion of the proceeds go to our charity, Loving Spoonful.
Excellent.
Yeah.
You guys are truly Canadiana and great people, and it's been an honor to have you two on the show tonight.
Well, thank you for having us,
Yeah.
Dennis, as guest. It's been fun.
Oh, it was our pleasure. Oh
Yeah.
my goodness. Yeah.
We feel
It's
honored.
nice.
You know what? Hopefully it could happen again in the future because we most certainly must stay in touch. And you know what? Based on what your plans may be for the future trips, we like to hear about these.
Yeah.
These big, amazing treks are, you know, what people like to hear about and what I like to hear about. So
Yeah.
they should be ones that are going onto my bucket list.
Yeah. I know. It's fun to hear all the different adventures everybody does. It's really nice.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We have nobody else in the basement tonight. We have a lot of shy people, so we will pack it in for the evening. Glenn, Carol, thanks very much for joining us. Spending your Tuesday evening with us. It's always a great pleasure to have people like you on. And like I said, we'll do it again in the future. So, you know.
That's great. Thanks,
Thank you,
Dennis.
Dennis.
Awesome.
It's our
You guys
pleasure.
take care, safe travel, and keep the adventures alive.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Thanks.
Drop you into the basement. We'll see you shortly.
Okay.
Thanks, guys. Now, oh, geez. I don't even know what to say. You know what? Incredible, incredible people. You know what? One word of advice, and this goes to anybody that's out there. You know, you could be on a canoe trip, and if you do happen to see people that you know might be paddling in a rainstorm or something like that, you could be in Algonquin Park or wherever it may be. You know what? Walk down to the shore. Give them a holler out and just invite them up to your campsite. Doesn't matter who they are. I know a lot of people might think security risk, whatever. Give them the option. Invite them up on shore. Make them a hot coffee. Let them wait out the rain underneath your tarp. It could be a lifesaver. It can get a person out of a very serious situation. And yeah, do the right thing out there. Hope everybody enjoyed tonight's show. Just want to go on record as to say that next week, once again, Justin Barber is going to be our guest. We will be talking about something that he's going to be having coming out, being his on-foot hiking expedition across certain parts of Newfoundland, and we'll be talking to a bunch about his hopefully his Labrador trips and stuff like that. I'm sure everybody in here is probably a Justin Barber fan. If you haven't, go check out his YouTube channel and smash his subscribe button and get caught up on some of the stuff that he's got going on, so you could have some great questions for him next week. I'd like to thank everybody in the chat tonight for tuning in. It's been a great pleasure to bring you another week or another episode of Canoehounds Outdoor Adventure Show. If you want to keep up to date with what's going on with the channel, please do follow us on Facebook at Canoehounds Outdoor Adventure Show, and you'll see exactly what's going on there. And if you have any ideas for future guests, drop me that email. Don't forget tonight's question. Over how many years did it take Glen and Carol to paddle across Canada? You can send your answers to coasprize@gmail.com. And if you forget what that is, go back to about the 1 hour mark of the show and you'll get all that, and listen in early. Okay. And you'll get all the answers that you need. And until then, remember everybody, please do keep the adventures alive, and see you next week. Bye-bye.